ABC Kinderteach presents A House is a House for Me, written by Marianne Hoberman, illustrated by Betty Fraser. Lots of things in this house. A hill is a house for an ant and ant. A hive is a house for a bee. A hole is a house for a mole or a mouse. Well, let's take a look at some of this stuff. There's a hill for ants where they live, so that's an ant hill. And there are bees on this beehive hanging from the tree. And there's a hole where a mole lives. And they don't really have very good eyesight. They can't see very well because they do a lot of the time digging in the ground. And I think they smell pretty well though. So that's a mole in a mole hole. And a house is a house for me. Oh, he's up in the tree house. Ooh, I wish I had a tree house like that. That looks like fun. A web is a house for a spider. A bird builds its nest in a tree. There is nothing so snug as a bug in a rug. There's the bug, there's the rug. And a house is a house for me. Ooh, they looks like they have an old refrigerator box that they kind of made into a house for them to play in. And it looks like the dog is sleeping in a smaller box. That looks like fun too. The treehouse and the boxes to play in look like a lot of fun. A coop, that's a house for a chicken. A sty, that's a house for a sow. A fold, that's where sheep all gather to sleep. A barn, that's a house for a cow. It is also, of course, a house for a horse. And there is chickens in a chicken coop. That's where chickens live. And a pig sty is where pigs oftentimes live. And a pigsty is just a muddy place where pigs can lay and rest. And this is a sheep and a fold. It's where they go to rest or stay, if they're not out in the fields. A kennel's a house for a dog. A dog is a house for a flea. But when a dog strays, which means he wanders away, a flea sometimes stays and then it may move in on me. Well, this is what a flea really looks like. So fleas on your dogs, of course it's a lot smaller, very much smaller. But that's what it looks like. I would not want that on me. Houses for rabbits are hutches. A house for a mule is a shed. A castle's a house for a duchess or someone who's like a prince or princess. A bedbug beds down in a bed. So here is a rabbit, and this is a rabbit hutch, and it's just where the rabbit lives. And this is what a bed bug looks like. And you see that stuff behind her? That's somebody's hand that it's sitting on. So it's really pretty small. But you don't want those in your bed because, boy, they would itch, I think, and also give you little tiny bites. Mosquitoes like mud holes or puddles. Whales need an ocean or sea. A fish or a snake may make do with a lake, but a house is a house for me. And this is what a mosquito looks like. And see, it takes that little thing right there and it punctures your skin, and that's when you get a mosquito bite. Ooh, we don't like those either, do we? No, no, no. A shell is a dwelling for shellfish. They're like clams, anything with a shell on them mostly. For oysters and lobsters and clams. Each snail has a shell and each turtle as well, but not any lions or lambs. Lions live out in the open. Monkeys live up in a tree. Hippos live down in a river. Now, what do you know about me? What do I know about me? Oh, We live in houses. A house is a house for me. That's right. And clams have smooth shells, and oysters usually have bumpy shells. And there are some shells. This would probably be more, I don't know, it's hard to tell. It might look more like an oyster shell because it's kind of has these little ridges or bumps on them. And of course, that's what a lobster looks like. And sometimes people cook and eat the meat in their claws and also in their body. Some people like them, some people don't. And of course, that is a snail. An igloo is a house for an Eskimo, or it's actually an Inuit, and they're from Alaska. A teepee's a house for a Cree. Cree Indians generally lived in Canada. A pueblo's a house for a Hopi, and Hopi Indians oftentimes lived in Arizona. And a wigwam may hold a mohi. Mohi is not really a Indian tribe. They don't really know where it came from, but it's not really a name of Indian tribe. Anyway, a garage is a house for a car or a truck. A hangar is a house for a plane. A dock or a slip is a house for a ship. And see, this is where the ship comes in, and then you kind of hook it up to these posts. And a terminal's house for a train. And of course, there is an igloo. And sometimes, especially if you're out and you're wandering around in the cold, they make these to keep themselves warmer than just laying out in the snow. More of a temporary thing in many cases. Of course, there is a teepee, and you could actually sleep in that. It's like a modern day teepee. There is Pueblo. Of course, it's more modern because it has doors on it now, but it's in the desert where it doesn't rain very much. There is a wigwam. It looks a little different than a teepee, and see there's snow on it. So again, it's to help keep you warm when it's cold out. And there is an airplane hangar. It's where you put the airplane if you're working on it or you just want to get it in out of the rain and the cold. That is a train terminal. They oftentimes back up into this building, and so they can work on the train, whatever, or the train cars if they need to. A husk is a house for a corn ear. A pod is a place for a pea. A nutshell's a hut, or like a house, for a hickory nut. But what is a shelter for me? A shelter is kind of a place where you go to get out of the weather. And here is a piece of corn. This is an ear of corn. What's around it is the husk. These are peas, and what's around it is a pod. So you'll see it, and then you open it up, and then you'll see all these little peas that you could eat. A glove is a house for a hand. A stocking's a house for a knee. A stocking's like a sock. A shoe or a boot is a house for a foot. And a house is a house for me. And see, there's some animals like squirrels. Looks like they're living underground, which is, I don't know if that's accurate or true or not. A box is a house for a tea bag. A teapot's a house for some tea. If you pour me a cup and I drink it all up, then the tea house will turn into me. So let's see. I go to a tea house and I buy some tea, and then when I drink it, the tea's inside me, so I'm the place where the tea went. So then I'm like the tea house, and that's what they're saying. And there is a tea bag, and they oftentimes have strings on them, so you put them in like hot water and you let them sit for a minute or two, and then you pull them out, and then you drink the water, which then tastes like tea. And this is a more of an old time tea house. They had tea houses here in the United States, but they oftentimes just look like someplace you'd go to get coffee. Cartons are houses for crackers, and cartons are what crackers come in. Castles are houses for kings. The more that I think about houses, the more things are houses for things. So what they're saying is everything is a house or something that lives in a house. And if you get started in thinking, I think you will find it is true that the more that you think about houses for things, the more things are houses to you. So the glove is a house for a ball. The tic-tac-toe thing is a house for circles and X's. And a shell is a house for a little baby chicken. The hammock is kind of a house for a boy taking a nap. The present is housed by a box. The kangaroo's baby, a joey, lives, or the house is its mother's sack. The gerbil's house is its cage. The grocery's house is the bag. The salad bowl, the salad's box is the bowl. And the toothpaste box is the toothpaste tube. Barrels are houses for pickles. And of course, that's a pickle jar. And bottles are houses for jam. A pot is a spot for potatoes. A sandwich is home for some ham. That dog is sleeping over there too. The cookie jar is home to, yes, the cookies. The bread box is home to the bread. My coat is a house for my body. My hat is a house for my, yes, head. And this is what a bread box might look like. Oftentimes you stick it in there and you slide the lid closed. This one, I think you just kind of open up this part here, and that's where you put the bread in and out. Perhaps I have started far-fetching, which means kind of getting carried away. Perhaps I am stretching things some. A mirror is a house for reflections. When you look in the mirror, you see a reflection of yourself. A throat is a house for a hum. But once you get started in thinking, you think and you think and you think. How pockets are houses for pennies, and pens can be houses for ink. How peaches are houses for peach pits, and sometimes are houses for worms. So if you have peaches and they get old, you can get worms in them. How trash cans are houses for garbage, and garbage makes houses for germs. And that is a peach, and in the middle of the peach is a thing called a peach pit. It's really just a seed so that you could plant it and maybe grow more peaches. And envelopes, earmuffs, and eggshells. Well, envelopes are houses for letters. Earmuffs are houses for your ears. Eggshells are houses for little chickens. And bathrobes and baskets and bins. And a little bin is like this is a bin, that's a bin. Oh, and ragbags and rubbers and roasters. And tablecloths, toasters, and tins. And there's a tin there. And once you get started in thinking this way, it seems that whatever you see is either a house or it lives in a house, and a house is a house for me. So there looks like they have this little sheet, and they're kind of living, pretending like they're living out in the yard. A book is a house for a, yes, story. A rose is a house for a smell. My head is a house for a secret I never will tell. A flower's at home in a garden, which means the garden is the flower's home. A donkey's at home in a stall. Each creature that's known has a house of its own, and the earth is a house for us all. So we all live on the earth, so the earth is our house.